Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Elm City LitFest podcast. The Elm City LitFest is an annual celebration of literature and literary arts and literary artists of the African diaspora. We will have a festival September 26th and 27th. I'm Ife Michelle Gardine. I am the founder of the festival, and we have Emily Mayo and Shaw McAllister, who are my co-coordinators. This is the Elm City Lit team, and we are lit. And Emily and Shaw have a lit show tonight. They're going to discuss and talk with three dynamic women from this state we call Disconnecticut. Okay, because these sisters are keeping us connected, and you're in for a treat, a real treat. So I'm going to hand it over to Emily and Shaw, and enjoy your evening.
Hey y'all, thank you, Miss Ife. Have a great night.
Ooh. Emily is joining us. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, Eve.
Yes. Happy Sunday to you. So good to see you. So excited for tonight because we have three beautiful Black female spoken word artists. So we're going to introduce them. We're going to bring them on the screen, and then they'll actually introduce themselves. So I'm happy to introduce Tymani Rain. We have Sun Queen, and we have Dyme Ellis. What's up, y'all?
Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Yes.
Fellowshipping.
Peace. How are you?
Beautiful melanin.
Yes.
Thank
So
you
I thought,
for having us.
yeah, absolutely. I thought I would go around, just have everyone introduce themselves, and say just a little bit about when you started writing, and then if you feel comfortable to read a piece of yours, anything you want. So can we start with Tymani? Possibly not, because we're having technical difficulties because of the storm.
Yes, our sis lives in Waterbury, and Waterbury got hit hard. The valley, there are still people without power, so check on your folks. If you could deliver a candle, a board game, it could really make a difference for somebody.
Ice helps some people out. Tymani, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Tymani Rain, y'all. Peace. Thank you so much again for having me. I'm a poet out of Waterbury, Connecticut, spoken word artist. I do a couple of different things as well as dancing, and I do creative writing, so short stories, monologues, and whatnot, martial arts. I'm a little basket of activity, but my passion is really writing. So I would absolutely love to share a poem for you guys. With everything that's been going on recently in the world, this is a poem that I wrote not too long ago before the tragedy of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and whatnot. So I decided that I was going to do this piece that I call Ancestrines. Bear with me because I'm not the best singer, but I think singing is one of the most amazing ways to get a word out, you know? Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me, and I'm feeling like history is on repeat. And living in this ozone is killing me. Chemicals cause climate change. These feathers can't bear the weather. Fly south in summer. Winter stays upon us, man. I'm gonna need a corona. Hold the virus. The evils dance in daylight. Dark skin disappears in the night when black rights faces blues. Left field feelings fiercely battered and bruised. Boots press chest to cement as they forced me to submit to charges planted in my pocket just because I didn't make a 3-second stop, man. History is on repeat. It's insane how we're stuck between pleading guilty to lower our sentence or being 1% less on the US Census. See, since a youth, I never thought it made sense. Why were they counting diversity? Then I seen population control immersing into my ghetto, lacing medical marijuana with doses of fentanyl, fixing all this pain from ancient ancestor strains that cycle through modern day Jim Crow states. Do it for the gram and hitting the oh whoa, cause shucking and jiving it in style no more. Stuck in this historic cycle, shackled in gold chain stays, strapped in the mind state that a Jesus piece doesn't change your worship of a European entity. Material slavery masked as money mentality, more like lack of morality, stuck in stereotypes dividing our psyche into the common denominator and moderated complacency. I refuse to face my people's retreat as if we are not living gods. And the prophecies of Sankofa, reviving our roots, taking back our truth. We're not made in an image. We're original depictions, pieces of the creator, able to create live revolution, supremacy, demolition, but historic redundancy keeps we staying stagnant with peace walks and riots, waiting in rainy ruminations, ringing round realities run rancid, racing through time, taking tolls, totaling to toe tags, tax from fear, fiercely firing from trigger happy frenzies, making as an alternative affirmation, ascending asinine acidic answers, spitting contradicting common sense, confused as consciousness, causing continuation of cancerous communications that keep creating criminal conducted from concocted relations that can't compute to rational. Mishaps modified as misconstruing miscellaneous misconduct. More so, immortals, imagining immortal insanity, encrypting insecurity of our being, entrapped in intentionally interchangeable incentives, exchanged in increments of ensnared descriptive inscriptions, subliminally instilling the Willie Lynch system through cycles of incarceration, police brutality, radio, hot 93.7. We wrap ourselves to heaven, wonder how much money you got, a lot. How many problems you got, a lot. How many niggas been shot? Too fucking many. The historic redundancy, food for thought we're fed on the news is strange fruit contained with cyanide seeds, slow poisoning, dreams that these minimal compromises equate to being free. And birds flying high, how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me. But I'm still feeling like history is on repeat. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you
so much. Son, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, so
I'm off mute now. Peace, everyone. I am Sun. I am a native of New Haven. I am the co-founder of Black Lives Matter New Haven. I am a published author and a poet and an organizer here. I use my poetry, my voice to uplift Black women, to address racism, oppression, all the injustices and everything that we face with being Black women, being Black people in America. I've been writing since, I believe, the second grade. is when I first entered like my first writing contest. So I've been writing ever since then. So I'll share this piece, Being Black in America. I just love this piece, and the end of it is definitely to uplift Black women, and that's what my voice is for. So America will have you thinking like, why did you make me Black? The boys in blue aren't here to protect me or you. Your womb will be violated, and it's okay. So be silent, because no one will believe you. Your story, it won't matter. You know why? Because you are Black. Dear magical creator, why did you make me Black? They want my skin in the background and most of the days underneath the ground. I can't lead because the color of my skin. All eyes on me, but funny thing is, I'm invisible in society. Then again, my skin is Black. How far can I get in the world of injustice, oppression, and white supremacy? What in the world is going on? Is it because the color of my skin? Is it because you made me Black? Did you mean to create my life? Do you want it back? Financial wealth don't seem like it's coming my way, and justice isn't looking for me. System plotting against me all because the color of my skin. Catching cases. Would it have been better if you made me in a different image, a lighter pigment, tears in my eyes from dehumanizing interactions, microaggressions, and all that other? What did you do to me? I'm not free. Why did you make me Black? Am I the enemy? Because I'm Black, I can be killed for a broken tail light or found dead in my jail cell, murdered with my hands up, or shot in the car after singing love songs with my boyfriend. You heard me ask you not to shoot, my hands were up. No due process, all because the color of my skin. And again I ask, why did you make me Black? It's unacceptable. My Blackness makes me a savage or a thief, so they think. My human rights don't exist because of the color of my skin. I'm a Black girl, they expect my dreams to die. Here I am Black, there's a war on me. Black girl, Black woman, understand this. You were made Black without apology. You were made Black because you are powerful. You have a connection with the earth. You are the closest to the sun. You are magical. You are magnificent. There isn't anything that you will let break you. Everything that's thrown in your path will only strengthen you. You are truth. You are wisdom. You are light. So shine, Black girl, shine, Black woman. I made you Black because you are art. You are life. No one grinds like you. No one is resilient like you. So Black girl, Black woman, stand up and fight back. Know that you can start a fire and put it out. You are a first aid kit. You save lives. No one has shoulders like you. You are a deity, a goddess, an empress, a queen. Why did I make you Black? I made you Black for the world to get baptized in your frequencies. You enlighten souls. Save the world, Black girl, because the world needs you. Peace.
Wow. Wow. I'm going to take a deep breath. And thank you so much.
Captivating. Captivating. Mhm.
Dyme, please.
Hello.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dyme. I use they, them pronouns. I am a Black non-binary artist living in New Haven. I'm from New Haven. And I've been writing since I could hold a pen. And every time people ask how long I've been writing, that's exactly what I tell them. I used to write like chapter stories inside of composition books. So I'd be doodling in my notebooks throughout school. Instead of taking notes, I would just like write stories. And so I just realized that I can read something, some creative writing, because I haven't been writing as much like stories lately. I still do, but not as much as I like. But I'll also be reading some new poetry that I've written recently. First, I wanted to show some of my recent work as well. I do visual art, and like, this is something that I did in my sketchbook. Oh my God. It's like mirrored, so it's actually opposite to how I'm holding it, how you guys are seeing it. But I basically was upset when I was at the park and I kicked the trash can. And I decided to like draw the silhouettes of all the things that had fallen out of the trash can itself, and write some of the frustrating thoughts that were in my head before I kicked the trash can inside of the silhouettes. And I really love playing with words in that way. And like, I started to write my I started to write my poetry in graffiti around the city. So y'all might see that on like bus stations, but sometimes they be cleaning it. So here's a little something else I did. I like to play with words in general. So this right here, I think it's a quote from Christopher Columbus's, one of his journal entries about the Native American people that he encountered. And it was on some fuck shit, of course. And at the time that I did this, they were like taking down the statue in Wooster Square. And I was like really frustrated to hear that some people really was acting out at that function, that some people really got out of pocket. And then just some other doodles that I have. But I really like to write. Like, writing has even become part of my visual art. And so I'm gonna read y'all a little excerpt from a story, and then I'll get into 2 poems that I've written recently. They're all pretty short. So this first one doesn't have a name, but I'm gonna just start reading. The lady with the Ankh tattoo cut into the horde like a crack of lightning, splitting the gray with a string of crooked light and a sound as deafening of a roar as God. She charged into the crowd with her brown fist raised to the heavens as she shouted the words, "No justice, no peace." And the crowd followed up with an even louder voice as they finished her incantation. "No racist police. No justice, no peace, no racist police." Their chant echoed through the hood, putting some locals under a spell that compelled them into the street. They joined the crowd and quickly learned to revere the lady with the Ankh tattoo as the leader of what the news had dubbed a revolution. I'll stop there because the story's pretty long. And with that, I want to jump into a poem that I recently wrote when reading Black Girls Are Magic, which is it's a poetry book, but it's an anthology of dozens of Black women who submitted poetry to this one book. It's a Breakbeat Poets publication. And the name of the poem that I'm responding to is Sway, which I also named this poem Sway. Sway. Dear Ebony Stewart, the first line is Dear Black Girl, but you wrote the rest of the poem in second person. I'm not girl. I don't sway. I am the wind, the invisible force of nature that make the very definition of girl sway. The same way smoke dances in chambers, I am the silent music, the lick of 7 breaths ago, West African hymns that make a truce with the Atlantic. Now each ripple reaching for the next, passing a prayer onto them, until they, them, their verses. Seaball, from breath to wind, to wind, to wind. Seaball into a hurricane, make everything sway, that lie naked in bed with me. And I'm going to finish off with this poem called Femme Anxieties, which is a little more like it's a little more rambunctious. Am I just not allowed to be who I wish in public, in private, with other eyes, mirrors looking at me, my reflection, a suffocation? I dress this way for me. I am aware of the consequence. Gawked at and harassed, if I'm lucky, no one will rip me out of my comfort zone, and I can continue to choose tight shoulders and flexed pelvis for femininity, a fair trade indeed, to be sexy and wish for no assault. Nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. I'm terrified of what he might do to me if no one is around, if I give him a chance. It will be my last. I know it for 1/5 of a fact. Not friend, maybe foe. Definitely fuck. Definitely these niggas wanna fuck me. They don't care how they get it. They don't care if it's withdrawn with yeses or nos. They wanna fuck so bad they just gonna, and I dress this way, pretend this way anyway. Try not to pain in my eyes, only in my gut where it's safe. Go wallow and marinate. Solar plexus all dim, don't want them to see me too sexy. Only comfortable dressing this confident, not acting it, not being it, not being it, not being it. He was right, but don't write his name. Pain might attack your eyes. CB, correct bastard, right. They only want my ass. I'm too busy looking at the ground to notice. Oops. Sensitive terms for sensitive ears. Bodies, bodies, bodies. Images of my bodies. Blood, gut, lower gut, too low gut. No more now. Organ, kids. I can feel it in mine. Thank you. That poem is not finished either. I forgot to say that before, but I wanted to bring I was recently having a conversation with someone about how art is like a child. Like you create it, but then it takes on a life of its own. And so I kind of wanted to carry that energy of art still being in the process of becoming itself. Yeah.
And I think that poem really speaks to real life. I'm sorry, Tymani.
Oh, I just said I loved how raw it was. Like I'm a fan of very raw poetry that's very unapologetic and raw. I have a poem that's kind of similar.
Thank you.
And I think it gave you took us. I think every woman here has had that experience where you have on your clothing, you have on your good fit, and it's like you're battling trying to be the feeling that you have on, but still having to deal with outside entities, men, or you never know who's around, but whoever that perpetrator is, but not being able to fully walk in your agency without having to worry or have something on your mind. That kind of ties into this question I have for Sun, because we here at Elm City Lit, we buy the books from our poets if they're selling it. And if you haven't got your copy of It Happened with the Sun, please check out sunqueenwrites.com. I'm hearing that it is on sale for $12.99. Get your copy. She accepts cash. But you have a poem, Sun, called Appreciate the Struggle. And I wanted to ask you about it because the struggle, it definitely is a painful time. It's a very hurtful time, but it builds resilience. So what made you write this poem? What were you pulling from that you wanted to get out for your readers?
You just explained it. Yes, appreciate the struggle. So that came out of pain, experience, trauma. So as I continue to grow and elevate through this journey in life, I realized that there are definitely times where we believe that we're not going to see a better side, a greater side. We may not feel differently after we've been sitting in depression and stress and all of these different things that doesn't sit right with us and make us, feel good. However, this piece came from, you know what? Even though this may be trying and hurtful, it has a purpose. And so I sat with that and said, you know what? The struggle is hard. Fighting racism and injustice and, you know, um, housing crisis and all these different things that we face, I'm going to look at this differently, and it has to be beauty in it because I'm going to be resilient. I'm going to rise. I'm going to facilitate my healing process. I'm going to change the state that I'm in. And so, just because we go through things does not mean that's the state that we're always going to be in. And so, we have to change our thoughts and our behaviors and our actions, our mindsets, and know that the struggle has its purpose and to appreciate it because you're definitely going to learn something that's going to assist you in your beautiful journey.
And you have a line that says your struggle will guide your destiny. And I think that's true. I think during our struggles, we reflect on that time. Even when things are gravy, we think about everything that we've gone through and what's brought us to that point. And I
Right.
think it causes us to appreciate that blessing, that success once we get it. And that resilience builds that thick skin. And I
Mm-hmm.
think as Black people, we have to have this thick skin. In your poem earlier, you spoke about it's a responsibility being Black. It can sometimes it's never a burden, but it is a heavy cross to carry. And it's one that can't be put down.
Yes.
So I appreciate it. It spoke to me. I think it speaks to this time as well. We are all currently in a struggle. However, the pandemic has hit you, however, racial injustice has hit you, because it's hitting all of us, whether
Mm-hmm.
you see it or not. And I think it's what would you have learned when this is all over? When this storm ends, what did you come out of it? Did you
Wow.
just sit in the house? Were you just in quarantine? What did you learn? Or did you waste 6 months, essentially?
That's real.
Yeah. I am still like processing this pandemic, quarantine. We, a couple of organizers and activists, we were encampment. We still are out here on the front lines, dealing with everyday life. Like working from home is a struggle for me. I'm usually on site at the hospital, so working from home has been a battle for me. Um, I've been able to save more. I've been sitting with defining what community is for me, what that looks like, what that feels like. So I just been really sitting with different things and being able to reflect. Definitely focusing on healing and being able to do a lot of restorative work within myself so that I'm able to then take those different tools and techniques and mechanisms to the community. So, then we all can begin to heal collectively because while this is healing is an individual journey, it's definitely a journey that we have to take together so we can heal together and work together and get things accomplished together.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that really hits me hard because I am at the point in the pandemic, and with I've started calling it the racial injustice pandemic. Um, how I want to come out on the other side of it, because I can't come out the other side the same person, and I'm already feeling that shift. So yeah, no, I need to. I think we all need to keep going, just questioning and just
Yeah,
finding the way to. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I don't think like anybody's coming out the same. Like, what is the same anyway? We don't even want, what was before. Like, it's been so many entrepreneurs, coming out of this, and people focusing on their talents and, embracing that, embarking on different things. And like, even though it's a hard and critical, crucial time, it's definitely a time to do those things. To sis, don't wait to start that business. Start it now. Write
Right.
that book now. Like, step into your higher self now. Like, and these are the messages that I think that the pandemic, like this storm, and it's like, oh my goodness, like another thing. But we've been getting hit hard, but that's because we are coming out stronger. We're going to learn some things, and it's going to be powerful after this.
Yeah.
It's now or never.
Word.
That's right. We'll shift to Tymani. I first learned about your work from Instagram, so thank you, TV. But yeah, it was sent to me by Miss Ife. Share the video.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a piece that knocked me over a little bit because these words. This is the time we're living in. Like, everything is on video. Everything that is sweet and funny and joyful and painful and literally fatal is on video, and we
Is on
share it.
video.
Yeah, and we share it with each other and just go, do you believe this is happening? Hopefully people are seeing some things and going, I'm going to make a change, like we were just talking about. But can you talk about a little bit about how that piece came together?
Yes. So that piece is actually really interesting that you say that, because that piece was very impulsively written. Out of like, actually, I was like upset because I had a conversation with somebody. Somebody posted their an opinion on Instagram that we shouldn't be sharing the videos at all. That if you see any form of Black death, any form of, lynching or something against our culture, specifically involving Black death, though, that we shouldn't share the video. And the way I looked at it was in a sense of, obviously, if you're in the position to help, if you're in a position to change the outcome of the situation, of course, don't take out your phone, do some actual active work. But if we aren't aware of these things happening, if we aren't aware of these things happening, those videos are the only proof that we have. The point that I made to her specifically was with Ahmaud Arbery. Unfortunately, the man who recorded the video was also an accomplice to the crime. So with that being said, it's like not all of the time are we in the position to change. So yes, we have to share the video. We have to make sure that that message gets out. We have to make sure that we have our proof, because without that proof, it's like we're always going to be considered the ones playing the black card, or they can make any narrative they want of whatever happened to said person. For example, again, with the Ahmaud Arbery situation, they were going to basically labeled him as a burglar and said that his killers were using self-defense because of a home invasion, when the address to the house had nothing to do with the murderers, as well as them being nowhere near the house when it happened. And then obviously we saw the video. I think as well with that narrative, we have to remind ourselves that as even when we do share the gruesome stuff, the gruesome videos, the pain, we also have to share the joy. We have to make sure where there's a balance. We have to make sure that there isn't just pain. And you know, a lot of people make comments about Black Twitter and how we make jokes about everything, but you know, those are our ways of dealing with it and our ways of coping. So again, along with share the video, the message that I also give is, you know, share the beauty along with the pain, but don't forget to make everybody aware of what's really going on in the world.
Yeah, I had I was talking with someone the other day who was saying, you know, you can't be in the movement without finding the joy. And as painful as some of this is, as all of this is, we're still people who find joy. You know, there's joy and laughter out there. It may not seem like it at the time, but it is. And just going back to, you know, Ahmaud Arbery and, you know, so many others who we've lost. It's to me, you know, I'm kind of going, you know, see y'all, like, we're not making this up. Like, we are, like, this is happening to us, and it's happening over and over and over again. So yeah, I appreciate I appreciate the piece. I appreciate what you just, you know, the background you gave.
Thank you.
Do you feel comfortable sharing the piece with us?
I would love to share the piece.
That would be great.
All right. So
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. This piece is called Share the Video. So I always knew growing up I'd be an entertainer, a poet, a dancer, an actress. Then it occurred to me. By age 13, I realized most pigmented people don't make it to the end of the movie. They're the first to call the plot twist, only to end up caught in crossfire climax. And unless you're Ricky, Kane, Frankie, Cleo, or TT, that fictional death has no real meaning. The irony. We act the same in society, how we're desensitized to being systematic targets, yet scream at skies when our own hands control the bullets, when immortalized on a t-shirt and candle lightings around phone poles become the new funeral service, since ain't no church in murder. Still, how great is a God that allows their greatest creation to die cold on pavement? I've seen this film 1, 2, many times, but I always wanted to be an actress. So if they cast me in the next casket, make sure you share the video. That B-movie quality may just have enough evidence for them to disregard my mental health records, text messages sent to friends contemplating if my life should end. Share the video, because they'll believe them, and I'm no coward. Truth is, I probably panicked, went frantic, hollered a little too loud, how I'm suffocating, I can't breathe, I can't speak, don't tell me to get up, get your knee off of me. Where's my mother? Show her the video so she can gather memories. When press points trigger fingers asking if I ran the street, she'll tell them I wrote. Every day, whenever angry alliterations cured my writer's block, she'll say she was my inspiration. She'll say I sang so loud she'd hide my Alicia Keys CDs, not realizing the time she'd need to remind them of my name. She'll say I danced under the ceiling fan. As the wind in my movements took me to another dimension, she won't forget to mention I acted like the smile was easy to wear. That eyes flooded with raging fear held its weight in my hair, blood of supremacy on my hair, and she'll say they were intimidated. Her mentality, a blend of X, Shakur, and Newton. She'll say she wanted a gun. Because she'll be damned if it were her father, her brothers, ex-lovers, or son. She'll tell them I was a healer, disguised as a gypsy. But they saw a witch, afraid of black girl magic. If it was 1693, I'd be burned at a stake, but it's 2020. I was lynched because nothing's changed. She'll say it was never supposed to happen this way, but after George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, it was only right to write my eulogy, just in case I don't have a case without a camera. She'll know, despite being told it's a dishonor to my life, I'd share the video. It's the only way that we can control the narrative, because the only difference between suicide and martyrdom is press coverage. Thank you.
Thank you.
That
Yes, it's lit.
do every time, because it's almost like I'm killing myself in the poem, and it's like, and makes you really think like it could be any one of us. You could look at your neighbor, and we just have to protect ourselves and each other as much as we can.
Our reality is so real, so raw that it can be any one of us. And the narrative is so important because we've seen the narrative spun so many different ways. And as harsh as it is to see these videos of our brothers and sisters murdered, assassinated, they have to keep showing, because they can be forgotten, or they can say, oh no, this happened. No, he wasn't. He was stealing. He had a counterfeit check. And then these things that don't matter when it comes to human life now take over the story. They now become what folks are paying attention to. And I think technology has given us that medium to know this is what happened. If there wasn't a video on Rodney King, he would have just been another person beat. But they had to see the heart.
That's the point I make constantly.
And it's upsetting that you can't go off of our word. You can't go off of what we're saying. You have to see it. We have to show you. You can see the scars, but you don't even equate what we're telling you with the scars. It's always, oh no, this happened, that happened. And we have to have martyrs. We have to have people who God has chosen to ignite that light, to get the conversation going. I think this is a powerful piece. And you are all sisters that I've seen in the field. I've seen all you do, your performances and your word and activism and organizing. So I'm blessed that you all are here with us, because you're walking the walk and talking the talk at the same time. No one up here is BSing or making it seem like your poetry is real life, and it's your real life. And I'm grateful that you all are here and being transparent. And Dyme, I wanted to ask you a few questions, because we are an intergenerational and intentional show. And you are the youngest among us here, representing for the youth and the upcoming generation. What has your experience been as an artist, as an activist? And what resources do you feel like are needed for young people?
Okay. I think there's so many layers to it. My experience as an activist has been kind of like a roller coaster, but I was at like the bottom part for a while, or not the bottom, but the part where the cart is kind of just cruising for a while. In 2016, when actually following up to Trump's election, I think even in 2015, I was very interested in getting involved. I was also on my way to college in Boston, so that's kind of where I got my feet wet in the activist in my experience as an activist. So I did a lot of activating with the students at UMass Boston, where I was at school, with the Black Student Center and with the Queer Student Center. But there was always a conflict because the Black queer students didn't feel comfortable at the Black Student Alliance because it was very cis heteronormative. And so at the time, I didn't identify as non-binary. I didn't recognize that part of myself yet. And I also didn't recognize that I was pansexual at the time. That came a little later, but I did like hear about these issues and I saw them. I saw transphobia from the Black men at the Black Student Alliance. And I heard about the trials and tribulations faced every day by Black trans women and trans women of color from the Queer Student Alliance. And so here was I, this like person who cared about both, but there was that divide of like queerness and Blackness, but the two come together because there are Black queer people out there. I'm here. So my activism has been very much affected by that division or that miscommunication, I guess. So in 2016, I came back to New Haven and I was ready to get involved as an activist in my city because I saw the opportunity in the city that I didn't recognize before. I had previously like really disliked New Haven and I came back from Boston loving it because I didn't realize there's so much art and so much culture. I had been brainwashed to hate it all. I had been brainwashed to hate my own people. And I came back realizing that I was already in the process of realizing it before I left, but when I came back, I really saw it because I saw the neighborhood that I grew up in and I said, wow, even though I had such a good time as a young person there, I was conditioned to believe that because it was the hood and because there's such an apparent class divide in New Haven, like literally right down the block, there was like big ass mansion houses. And I was taught that like, that was happy. That was the happy place over there. And this was the shitty place where I had to be. But now that I look back, I'm like, I had such a great childhood and I was conditioned to hate it, which is so sad. But I really wanted to get involved when I came back. And so I did. I went to my first major march was when right after Trump was elected. And there was like this huge, like a puppet of Donald Trump, his head, and we got to smash it with a bat, and there were police dogs, and things got ugly. That was my first thing, and I was kind of in it for a while, but it took up so much energy for me because I was not only in school, I had recently came to realize my queerness, at least my sexuality. And then I was also starting to realize my gender nonconformity. And it took up a lot of space for me because, I mean, one, there's a lot of like self-care that has to go into that because you're discovering this whole part of yourself that has always been there and realizing the world has conditioned me to like stuff it down. I didn't read it, but there's a poem where I briefly talk about like, wow, it was okay for me to love my like fuzzy upper lip all along. Like I used to hate it. And then I wrote about like, oh, I can forgive all the teachers who assumed my name, which is Diamond, belongs to someone with he, him pronouns. People used to always think he. And now when people call me he or sir, I smile because it's not only funny, but also it feels low-key affirming because I am non-conforming, and usually people assume that I'm a woman. So, but when discovering myself as a queer person became like a huge aspect of my life, I also began to personally be affected by how the cis heteronormativity in activist circles, which I feel like is a little bit more apparent for me now. Like I took a break, I guess, from activism, or like heavy activism, like going to protests and stuff. It was self-care. It's a self-care choice for me to pause on that. And now I feel comfortable to get back into it. And I'm reading a lot of books. I'm reading, I should have brought the books over here. But I'm reading, one of the books is called How Capitalism Underdeveloped Black America. And there's a chapter dedicated to like Black women in the movement. And as I'm reading, I'm just realizing that even though the author means well, it was not, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't really about gender liberation. It wasn't, not even for cis, hetero Black women. It was just not enough. And that worries me about the movement. It makes me feel like how are we actually doing the work to include women, trans people, and gender non-conforming people in this movement? And I feel like as a young person and a mentor, that's really important to me to bring into the revolution, to bring the queer community in and our voices in, so that we don't get left behind. Because if we're all not free, then none of us are free. So I think cis Black men, most of them need to get it together. We have some allies out there, so I'm happy about that. But we definitely need more and more understanding and less giving in to miseducation around queerness. Because I was just thinking about this, gender oppression affects Black men. As I was reading the book that I was just talking about, How Capitalism Underdeveloped Black America, it talks about how, it observes how Black men might see the revolution as them trying to reclaim manhood because of what was done during slavery, and what was done to Black families in the 1960s through the 1970s. The emasculization, just all of it terrible. But in the book, the author observes that perhaps Black men are like trying to achieve like manhood, but I'm like, or like reclaim manhood. And I'm like, well, who's defining what manhood is? And who is creating the world in which we feel that a Black man's manhood isn't enough? And that's just white supremacist patriarchy, which we are all fighting, which I am fighting.
Definitely. And it speaks about narrative. You bring up a lot of points. We could have a whole show about everything.
Yeah, I know we're about to close out.
No, but I think we can still make a few important points that as Black people, it's hard to. There's so many layers to us. You can be a woman and still be Black. You can be queer and still be Black. You can be a Black woman and be queer. And a lot of times I feel like those layers and those aspects of who we are and who each individual is, your unique makeup, you shouldn't have to leave that at the door. because it's all connected. It all plays into each other. And you spoke about classes, and the classism in Connecticut is very apparent. As you said, it's only a street that makes the difference.
Yeah.
If you're on Winchester, Winchester looks completely different from Prospect, and it's only a hill difference. It's only a block difference. And leaving your, as you said, leaving your neighborhood and coming back to, you begin to appreciate it. I'm in New Haven now, but I'm from Jersey, and I'm back and forth. But it wasn't until I left Irvington, to be like, yo, what they said was going on in the suburbs in this economically better area, it's not as rich as where I'm from. It's not as rich as my community. And we're thriving with the lack of resources, but it's still authentic where we are. We have culture, we have community. Every community has issues, and we're dealing with ours. We are healing. Now, our lovely son, a co-founder of Black Lives Matter New Haven, there's been definitely a lot going on in New Haven, a lot going on in the world. You've been on the front lines. Alaa's been on the front lines. Ashley, Sai, the whole team has really been pushing and really showing up when no one else was showing up and leading. There was a whole march that you didn't organize, but you led. You took control over, because you saw that there was a need, and there was a need for people's safety, and that the message still had to be across. So how can you be supported, and organizers who are on the front lines? Because the front lines isn't for everyone, and I think that's understood. Everyone has a role on the road to liberation.
I think that being supported is just that, for people, for a community to know that everyone plays a role, and it doesn't have to be on the front line. If you're an artist, you can express your protest through art. You could send letters, emails, phone calls to legislators. Be a body, show up at City Hall, show up at the state capitol. There's definitely a space for you in this movement to defend Black lives, to end the war on Black lives, to call for political power, to call for reparations, to amplify the voices of Black and queer and trans folks. Everyone definitely, it's levels to this, and you definitely have a level, you definitely have a space on the level. You definitely are able to engage in the movement. You don't have to be a part of Black Lives Matter or any organization. You're a Black person, and excuse me, my liberation is tied to yours as yours is tied to mine. So as for support, I would just say, reach out, contact us at Black Lives Matter New Haven at gmail.com, and see how, even if it's coming down, bringing water to a protest, and now, right, with the pandemic and everything, sanitizer, food, snacks, or whatever. And also, sometimes just encouraging words, go a long way. It's really a lot, and I feel like oftentimes people really believe that we're like superheroes, and we have families. Allah has a son. I have a niece and nephew, my mom, and so encouraging words, really go a long way. Right now, we do have the back to school drive going on. We have over 1,100 book bags. The book bags will be filled with supplies and notebooks and erasers and pencils and pens and all that great stuff that the children need to go back to school. So just sharing the flyer, telling word of mouth, telling your neighbor, your friend about the drive, and so people like that is so helpful. That is so supportive, right? We are on social media a lot. All you got to do is click, you know, share the information, get the information out to the community. A lot of times people are like, we don't have any resources. We don't have any resources. And so when we are trying to be a resource for the community and you don't know what to do, simply share the information out. You're helping someone who is in need. But again, our liberation is tied to, all the folks in the community, and sharing and loving goes a long way. And that's like the greatest support.
Greetings, I'm back. And y'all,
Um,
oh, oh, if
Hi,
you are, you all
Ethan.
have um, really represented how lit we are in this fucking Connecticut.
Hey, we lit.
We connecting this motherfucker. I think I can cuss. Anyway,
I actually, sorry, real quick, I forgot to mention a resource. You asked about resources for young people, young
oh,
artists.
definitely.
So on August 25th, me at ArtSpace and Connecticut Against Brutality are organizing like a art fair, an outside art fair so they cut off the street on Orange Street, and we're going to be using 9th Square. It's going to be all Black art. So we're going to have a lot of studios going to be donating free prints of the visual artists' artwork so that they can sell their work for 100% of the profit and keep anything that is left over after the art fair. And any crafts and merchandise people can also table. And we're having performances throughout the day. This is social distance conscious, which we're taking multiple measures. So if anyone has any questions or anything, reach out to me. My Instagram is 06EMINI. I will put that in the chat. And if anybody's interested, hit me up to participate. It's all Black artists. I especially want to have queer Black artists on this, so let me know.
Thank you for that information. There's so much happening throughout our state and for our lives, the whole encompassing of Black lives, right? As women, as LGBTQ, as Black people, we on it. We on it. And Connecticut is connected and we're lit. And I want you to, on our website, on our webpage or Facebook page, we'll have links to everyone's information. And I want to let you all know, like, get the merchandise, get Sun's merchandise, get Dyme's information, get Tymani Rain's information, and hire them. Artists need to get paid. Like, just understand.
The starving artist is over.
Their art is work. It ain't no starving artist. It's working artists. It's work. It's time and energy that they put into their artistry. And these are multi creative women. They're multi genres. Okay? And I want to welcome and I want to thank everyone for coming and attending the Elm City Lit Fest podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks. The team of Emily Mayo, Shaw McAllister, and Ife Michelle Gardine. We will be back in 2 weeks with another lit podcast for everyone. And we appreciate it. And we got to shout out to Baobab Tree Studios. Rev Kev keeps us moving. Much gratitude. Makes everybody look good. Okay? And hit up Baobab Tree Studios online if you want to start doing your thing. I'm just saying. There's stories to tell. Blessings to everyone. Stay safe and well with your mask and vote whoever you voting for. Show up on Tuesday if you have not had your absentee ballot, because 45 done put in somebody at the post office that didn't get everybody the absentee ballot, whatever. Show up and have your voice be heard in some kind of way, because agitation starts at every level.
Put your mask,
okay.
Elm City Lit Fest. Stay tuned. Clear your calendars. September 26th and 27th. Don't tell us you busy. Listen. We're around. We want to see you. We want to see you. We're working hard.
All right. Blessings and good night.
Peace.
Blessings. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you, lovely ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.